So my name is Noreen O'Sullivan. I'm based near Mallow, County Cork. I'm farming alongside my mother Geraldine and my partner Gary. We operate a robotic milking system and we have a split calving season, so we calve about 80% in the springtime and then the other 20% in the autumn.
My name is Tom Vaughan. I'm a mixed vet in North West Cork in Kanturk. We'd service, I suppose, 20 minutes in every direction of Kanturk. We're a tree vet practice. My father started the practice in maybe the 1980s. We're still working together. We work with a neighbouring practice for weekends, for weekend rota, just to make the thing a little bit easier.
I suppose that no 2 days are the same. There's a lot of variety, that you're outdoors. I love being outside working. And I suppose, I find it very rewarding, breeding my own stock, trying to pick the best genetics you can, and then seeing the calf being born, and then watching them grow and thrive until they, become a cow in the herd.
I suppose being from Kanturk, after coming home after a couple of years working in Wexford, I enjoy being home. I play sports locally, so, if I'm helping people locally with companion animals, farm animals, whatever the case is, just helping people really and helping their animals, being social, meeting people. It's a good lifestyle, good way of life. It's healthy. A bit of exercise. No 2 days are the same. So I suppose there's a lot of positives, negatives as well, but definitely the positives outweigh the negatives.
You have to realise that all the elements that you put into your calf rearing, say your colostrum management, your vaccinations, your right environment, unless you have all those elements working together, you won't be successful at calf rearing. I suppose the simplest way that I ever heard it put is that it's like a three-legged stool. So if you're missing one leg or one element, the stool is going to give way. So you need everything working together to be successful at rearing calves.
The most simple thing, which isn't being used enough, is what I said about the colostrum, is the refractometer. Takes 2 seconds. You can be wondering why in a couple of weeks' time your calf isn't doing well, but if the immunoglobulins isn't good enough in the milk, you can't expect the calf to thrive. So it's very simple. People are afraid of maybe new technology, but 2 second job, it's not expensive, and at least then you know where you stand with your colostrum, whether you need to push on the cows and give them a little bit of soybean to improve the colostrum. Just simple little things like that. At least you know where you stand before it's too late. So I would say that's a very simple method of improving, your standards.
Your newborn calf management, firstly, anyway, making sure your 3-2-1 rule, that they get 3 litres, of good quality colostrum within 2 hours of being born, and that it's the first milk then from their dam, and that it's full of antibodies, Secondly, I suppose your hygiene and your environment. So that you have a nice warm dry bed for your calf, that the shed is full of air but without any drafts. You need good ventilation, and I suppose thirdly then, the diet of your calf, that they're getting plenty of the right type of feeding, so that they've plenty of clean forage for fibre, that you're building up their concentrates, that they have always got access to clean fresh water, and then if they need a probiotic, to help them have healthy guts, all of that together will help their rumen develop, and it'll help them grow and thrive.
I suppose number one definitely is obviously your colostrum. Like everyone will say, you need at least 3 litres in the first 2 hours. That obviously will be the first milking. The colostrum would want to be, the IgGs would want to be of good standard. You can do it visually. Looking at visually the colostrum, to make sure it's a good honey colour. You can check by refractometer, but definitely is, probably the most important thing is it's the first couple of hours of life. Going on to a second point, I suppose, would be hygiene. Hygiene is a huge part of it. You can give all the vaccines in the world. If your hygiene isn't up to scratch, it's not going to be good enough. Simple way of testing that is, I suppose, if you kneel on the ground, if your knee is still dry in the straw, at least your calves can lie down nice and warm and healthy. You'd want good ventilation, good air going through, but not a draft at the same time. And again, hygiene being a massive part of that. Every utensil that you use should be clean. If you're stomach feeding calves, calf feeders, whatever the case is, everything should be clean. Just be meticulous, be methodical. Just try and be clean, basically. Otherwise, you're expecting too much out of the animals. And I suppose then number 3, I'd be thinking, the weaning process. You've a couple of weeks before you wean them, you're introducing them to concentrates and fibres and things like that. You're trying to get them used to the new diet. You're changing them from, I suppose they're going from a monogastric animal to a ruminant. So you don't want to push them too fast just because the weather might be nice outside. You might want them to get the grass too early. The calf stomachs aren't be good enough. So, all the good work you did from day 1 to whatever, 10 weeks of age, 12 weeks of age, you could ruin it in a couple of days. So just take your time and just go through the process, I suppose. It'd be what I'd think the 3 most important factors. Probably more things I can think of, but not offhand.
When you walk into the calf shed, and you see the calves leaping around and that they're thriving, that they're feeding well and that they're growing. And then I suppose the return of that later on is when you see them hitting their, weight targets. So we usually weigh weanlings or maidens before they're housed in the winter, and seeing that, they've hit 50% of their adult weight by 12 months, that you get them to 60% of their weight by breeding time, and then that they're calving down at 24 months, 90% of their mature weight. Then that you've done your job well rearing them as a calf, because that's, the most crucial time that they will hit all those targets going on.
I suppose in terms of work, keep your standards, take your time, be methodical, go through your systems. When you go out to an animal, you might think what you see straight away what's wrong with it, but go through every system the way you normally would. Don't jump to a conclusion. I suppose, be positive going into a place. A lot of farmers are under pressure. You don't need to bring your own issues there as well. So, try and be in good form and just do your best, basically, And I suppose enjoy it, really, because, there's not every day you're going to enjoy, so you must just try and take the good, the bad and the ugly.
Within farming or in life in general, that every day is a school day. You should be trying to learn something every day at what you're at. You should be always willing to listen. Somebody else said to me, there's a lot more gain sometimes from listening than from talking. I'm
big into sports. Now that I'm waiting on my MRI results, I might be playing sports for another while, but definitely, doing a bit of training in the evening. Doesn't have to be anything too strenuous. A run, a bit of gym work, play a bit of rugby. Even if you have time, meet your friends locally for food during the day. 15, 20 minutes, something quick, but at least you talk about something. Doesn't even have to be about veterinary. Take your mind off it. But definitely, I think you should give at least. It's very easy to go home and sit on the couch and do very little when you go home on your night off. I think if you got out and walk your dog, do something. I think you'd definitely feel a lot better for it than rather just sit down and watch TV. I enjoy, I suppose, meeting with my friends as much as possible. It's not always easy to get off the farm, so sometimes it might be just ringing a friend and having a chat about something totally outside of what you're doing. And then when I am able, I like to go swimming. I find it relaxing, and it's a good way to, tune out. So they'd be my main things I'd be at. They're very important. I think they're becoming more important. It's trying to get the message across as I won't say the hardest part, but you're trying to change the normal treatment plan of a farmer that's been doing it 40, 50 years. But you're trying to cut out a bit of antibiotic treatment, especially oral antibiotics. Like a lot of the oral antibiotics don't have any place, medically in veterinary. Your probiotics, your precision microbes, or whichever one you use, a lot of them, like, they help with the digestive enzymes, help with the gut flora. Some people use them from day one to a month old. Definitely does improve the animal. Like, we've had good feedback from it, and I think it's slowly building a bit of confidence that you don't have to use oral antibiotics for everything. Like, it helps, I suppose, helps with the pathogen overload, and it also helps to eliminate different pathogens. So I suppose, the more we're all learning about it, there's, it's all benefits. It's just, I suppose, just a bit of trust and a bit of communication between vets and, your clients.
Well, it's definitely hard, if you're going through a challenging time on the farm, whether it's weather related or if you do have an outbreak of sickness in calves or something like that. I suppose, talk about it anyway. If you are finding things difficult, whether it's talking to someone at home or going off to your discussion group. Because what I find, if you go away and you go to one of those groups, 99% of the time what you'll discover is another farmer is going through exactly the same thing you are. And I suppose it, helps lessen the worry. Another thing, I suppose, is, try to maybe, I know it's very hard during the calving season to tune out, but, even if you can take a half an hour for yourself, even in the evening, just to read or watch something, and just take your mind off it. And I suppose get extra help if you need extra help. I know it's not easy to get, but they'd be my things anyway I would try to do.
See, a lot of the first funny moments I can think of, I don't know, they're very, for TV, what's the word, for broadcast, but I suppose most of the funny stories that I can think of off the top of my head are usually things, when dogs come in, after eating something and we've induced vomiting, the range of products that they bring up unintentionally or intentionally after us injecting them can be quite interesting. So there's a bit of explaining between parties at home. I suppose I leave everyone up to their imagination what they could be, but that's what I can think of offhand. Yeah.
I suppose that farming is a way of life. That it's not just a job. It's nearly like a calling. Like, you have to love it to be doing it. I suppose that's very misunderstood. I suppose it's crucial that you have a good relationship with your vet. You're depending on their knowledge if you have a sick animal, and their education around livestock.
Yeah, I suppose from vet point of view, definitely communication being a key factor. You're hoping that the timing of the call is right as well. That it's early symptoms and not I suppose trying a few things first and hoping for an ambulance case, but it's all, I suppose, communication and building a bit of trust between the two parties, and I suppose just trying to improve, we'll say, our own point of view from a veterinary point of view, and trying to improve what's going on in the individual farm as well. We can all be learning from each other every day. Every day is a learning day, not only for farmers, definitely for vets. So I suppose just trying to improve, isn't it? Yeah.